Upon Jimmy Purcell for the pledge. This is our 60th anniversary, and we are incorporating in our celebration members, past members of Exchange, and also friends of Exchange from other areas. So we appreciate all that are in attendance and that are helping us to make this celebration. Jimmy?
Everybody please stand, face the flag, place your right hand over your heart. I pledge.
Deacon Richard Kovacs for the invocation.
And let us bow our heads and take a moment to reflect upon the many blessings that we receive.
We are a Danbury organization, and the mayor, being the representative of the city of Danbury, would like to present something to the Exchange Club of Danbury. Mayor Boughton.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here this evening. It's been a busy day in the city, and this is about my 5th event for today, but the most important event happens in about 20 minutes when I pick up my wife, so I'm a dead man walking if I don't get there. But I just wanted to stop by to recognize the Exchange Club for all the good that you've done for this community over the many, many years. You know, this chapter was chartered on April the 24th, 1947, and it's been in continuous operation since then. It's just a tremendous testament to the spirit of volunteerism, to the compassion and passion of the people in this room and to the people before us that began this great organization. And to think of the impact that you've had on the lives of people, of children, of all of our firefighters and our police officers over these many, many years. It's an incredible testament to the caring that you have for Danbury. It's amazing. And this city is better off because the Exchange Club was here in Danbury. So for that, I want to thank you. With that, I've prepared a mayor's proclamation. I'd like to present it to Jean, if that's okay, Dr. McNamara. It says, City of Danbury Mayor's Proclamation. be hereby known to all that the mayor and the citizens of the city of Danbury honor the Exchange Club of Danbury. And whereas on April the 24th, 1947, the Exchange Club of Danbury was born and chartered with 125 members, and since that time has served the community in countless service projects with the primary goal being child abuse prevention. And whereas for 60 years, the Exchange Club of Danbury has completed hundreds of service projects in three major categories of youth, American citizenship, and community service. And whereas in 1951, the Exchange Club began the operation and administration of the Little League program, which lasted for over 35 years. The Exchange Club has presented community members with various awards, such as the Book of Golden Deeds, Firefighter and Police Officers of the Year, Veterans Recognition, as well as the Give a Kid a Flag to Wave program during the Memorial Day Parade. So therefore, be it resolved that I, Mark D. Boughton, as mayor of the city of Danbury, do hereby honor and recognize the Exchange Club and salute the members who have served the citizens of Danbury through dedication and programs of service over the many, many years. And this is signed this 29th day of April, 2007, in the City Hall with my signature and affixed with the seal of the best little city in the United States of America, Danbury. So congratulations, Exchange Club. Keep up the good work. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boughton. You know, he mentioned it was a dedication of a lot of individuals. But I'd like to just mention a few, because if it wasn't for the individuals initially, 60 years ago, we wouldn't be here today. And we're very fortunate in having with us the wife of a charter member, Jeanette Burdick. Besides Jeanette, and we'll hear more about this later on, besides Jeanette, we have two other individuals that were charter members, Taffy and Jimmy Jowdy. There they are over there, Taffy and Jimmy. 60 years ago, these guys started a club. And we're very fortunate in having with us the son of the first secretary. The first secretary was Clyde Treadwell, and you know his son, none other than our own Dave Treadwell, who is the treasurer of the Danbury Club. We have an individual with us that's photographing the festivities today. His name is John Newmuller. Well, he's the grandson of the third president of the Danbury Exchange Club, John B. Newmuller. And we have with us Skippy Melillo and Faye Cawley, who are I believe the son and daughter of Carmen Melillo, president in 1957. Skip? And Faye? Joe Friscia. Joe's? And also Alice, the wife of Basil Friscia. And then we have another son of a charter member, Jerry Kovacs. Jerry, he's a son of E. Paul Kovacs, and E. Paul's grandson is here, Jeremy. Jeremy? We're very fortunate in having a fine group of individuals here this afternoon, the evening, and we do hope you enjoy yourself more later on. after the meal. But feed yourself, enjoy, and we'll talk more later. Thank you very much. Ho ho! I hope that sometime during the afternoon you have a chance to peruse the many scrapbooks that we have from the past, memorabilia from exchange, and also a couple of resolutions that we have on the side table. So please take note of all of them. I'm very happy to introduce one of the past presidents of the Danbury Club to introduce some of the counterparts from the state. And at this time, I'd like to introduce none other than Dick Murray.
Good afternoon. It's almost evening, but good afternoon. Hi, Joe. I have the honor and pleasure to introduce the visitors and guests that we have from around the state this afternoon. And we have a tremendous turnout. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to change the program around a little bit, Gene, if you don't mind. And I think I'm going to introduce all our guests first, and then we'll have the two dignitaries speak. So if I could, at table number 1, we have District President. If you would all stand, please, when I introduce you, and we'll wait until they're all standing before we do the applause thing, okay? Tony, you're not one of them. At table number 1, we have our current district president, Gino Sternberg, who's a member of the Tri-Town Club that consists of Cromwell, Weathersfield, and Rocky Hill. Also, at table number 1, we have district president-elect Pam McKinnon and her husband Mike. They are from the Madison Club. I'm going to do this a little reverse order because one guy thinks he's more important than the other, but it's not. It's not that way. Also at table number 1, we have District Secretary Regina Kiernan, accompanied by her husband Cliff, who thinks he's so important because he's the New England Regional Vice President. They're from the Naugatuck Club. Well,
I have the mic next.
yeah, you do. Past president, sitting at that table also, is Yvonne Ledoux. Now, Yvonne Ledoux is not only the past president of the District Club, but she is a current national officer and board member of the Prevention of Child Abuse Foundation. She's vice president of that organization. She's from the Durham Middlefield Club. At that table also, we have past district president Bill Waller and his wife Elizabeth from the Madison Club. And we have Division II director, current president of the Danbury Club, Chris Miller, and his wife Betty. Please stand. At table number 2, we have past district president Bill Wagonette and his wife Lois from the Bristol Club. We have past president Bob Bailey and his wife Lorraine, also from the Bristol Club. We have past district president Bill Dacey and his guest Ermine Alford from the Norwalk Club. Bill is a volunteer field representative that travels around the country giving training sessions about Exchange Club. And also at that table we have president of the Bristol Club, Beverly Foote, and she is Bob and Lorraine Bailey's daughter also, which is probably more important than being the president of the Bristol Club. And for a little educational purposes, for everyone here that are kind of new members to the Danbury Exchange Club. We have several of our own people that have served in capacities at the district level over the years and national level. And we have at table number 7, past National Exchange Club Vice President Dr. Gene McNamara and his wife Ann. Gene, by the way, is chairman of this event, and he and his committee have done one hell of an outstanding job on this. At table number 2, we have past Division II Director Bob LaFavor, currently the Secretary of the Danbury Exchange Club. At table number 8, we have past Division Director, past President of the Bethel Club and the Danbury Club, John Rooney, and his wife, Rosa. And at table number 11, past Division Director, current Treasurer of the Danbury Exchange Club, Dave Treball, and his wife, Joan.
When we talk about membership, fundraising, and other club issues. When I found out I was coming to the Danbury Club, I said, what do I say to a club that was established in 1947 and is still going strong after 60 years, who has had not one, but 4 past district presidents who I'd like to name. Richard Murray, 1992, Dr. Eugene McNamara, 1979, Carl E. Burdick, 1971, Cornell C. Coulter, 1964, and who has presented over 25 Freedom Shrines and has presented over 70,000 flags to kids in the past 60 years at the Memorial Day Parade, who has one of the strongest memberships in the Connecticut District, and through its fundraisers has raised thousands of dollars, and because of these efforts has made Danbury a better place to live in, but most of all has made a huge difference in children's lives through our main cause, the prevention of child abuse, for not 1 year, but 60 years. Well, I can think of nothing else to say, but thank you. Thank you to the members of the Danbury Exchange Club for making the Connecticut District one of the best in the country, and thank you for 60 years of service to Exchange. God bless, and thank you.
Okay, get ready for this. Our next speaker is a very good friend of the Danbury Club. He's been here probably more than some of the members have been here. He comes to our picnics, he comes to our Veterans Night programs, he'll come uninvited, he'll just show up. Anyhow, I have the pleasure to introduce my friend and the New England Regional Vice President, Region number 12, from the Naugatuck Club, Cliff Kiernan. Cliff?
Thank you, Dick Murray, for those kind words. And thank you to the Danbury Exchange Club. I feel a little funny being up here, as Dick has mentioned, being the national rep, and only living 30 minutes away from here. And but I'm going to do my best as a national rep, but I know it's going to end up being more personal than being a national rep. I bring greetings from the National Exchange and from our national president, Kim Hodges. Kim's theme this past year was lighting the fire within. But I know that the Danbury Club has been lighting that fire within for the last 60 years. I thank you for all the great programs of service that you have provided for the Danbury community. You are making a difference in your community. Now, on a personal note, as Dick had said, I joined Exchange in 1981, and I got involved in some of the district events. And I just have one question to Joe Pepin. How many ringers did you bring for those Connecticut district golf tournaments? 0. 0 ringers. It was, you know, we had so much fun on the district level with the district golf tournaments, the district bowling events, the district conventions. Naugatuck and Danbury were big rivals when it came to the golf matches. We were very competitive and we had a lot of good times, and we all respected each other because we all were there for the same reason. We were there for exchange. But I think mostly important about the Danbury Club is how thorough you are. I mean, this evening here is just something that's very, very special and just something that's very, very well done. And as long as I have been involved with the Danbury Club, you have always been very thorough, and I congratulate you on that. You should all be congratulated on that. So, as I end, I do want to thank you for all you do in the name of exchange. But last but not least, what a great day it is to be a Danbury Exchangeite. Congratulations.
Thank you, Cliff. And Gino, we appreciate the kind words from district and national. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce, and I'd like them to stand and hold your applause till we finish, the past presidents of the Danbury Club. Our senior living past president was supposed to be here, but unfortunately he became ill, and that was Robert Noce. He was president in 1962. 1970, Dr. Roy Bonacci. 1976, Bob Morse. 1977, Lee Connor. 1978, myself. 1979, Donald Melillo. 1980, Deacon Richard Kovacs. 1981, Donald Jowdy. 1982, Joe Pepin. 1983, Bob LaFavor. Hey guys, stand. Hey. 1983, Bob LaFavor. 1984, Dick Murray. 1986, John Scarfy. 1989, Dave Treadwell. 1990, Joe Dominakis. 94, Bernie Reedy. 1997, Jeff Hull. 1998, Diane Pimentel. 1999, Jimmy Quish. 2000, John Rooney. 2002, Al Mead. 2004, Al Correa. And our current president, Chris Miller. How about a hand for all these guys that perpetuated the Danbury Exchange Club? Good show, gentlemen. We're getting to the ladies. You know, if it wasn't for the ladies, these guys wouldn't have attained the position that they have. You know that. At one time, we had the Exchangeettes. Remember that? If you read the book carefully, you'll find out when the Exchangeettes were prominent in the Danbury Club. And this was all the ladies, and they were very functional. We thank the ladies for everything. Thank you, ladies. We have with us seven ladies who have lost Exchangeeites. And I'm going to do it in reverse order. A gentleman that passed away recently, Larry Manger, his wife Joy is with us. Joy, please stand. Larry came to us with a great deal of culinary expertise. And I remember at the at this steak roast, and everybody was eating steak, and I was eating my fish. He said, "Don't worry about it. I know how to cook it exactly." Well, when he takes out of his pocket his neatly rolled up culinary instruments, I figured this guy knew what he was doing, and he really did. Jack Lanigan was our president in 1993. With us we have Flo. Basil Frischer was our president in 1987. We have with us his wife Alice and son Joseph. Alice. Al Dennis, a member of the club, drummer, printer, and a trumpeter. And with us we have Fran Dennis. Fran, where are you? There she is over there, Fran. Thank you. 1975 President Frank Critelli. We have Lucy back here. Lucy. An officer in the decade of the 70s, Andy Barbera. We have with us Millie. And lastly, Carl Burdick, a charter member, 1955 club president and 1971 district president. And we have with us 99 plus, I think, a few years young, Jeanette Burdick. How about a little bit of a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeanette. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Jeanette. Ladies and gentlemen, I received a letter recently from the IRS. It says, "Dear Dr. and Mrs. McNamara, we are in receipt of your correspondence with regard to adding 2 dependents. The reasons you expound upon are very noteworthy, and we would like to consider them very carefully. You note, however, that the product being produced is worthy of these dependencies. But something remains amiss. We realize that, while people usually have like fuel oil delivered to their homes in 75, 100, 125 gallon intervals, we question why you had delivered at different times 50, 75 gallons of Merlot or Ciroc. And one thing that we're researching is the reasons why. Medicinal purposes, yes. But you indicated that it be for the flowing of the creative juices, the creativity. And with that in mind, I'd like to call upon my 2 cohorts that are involved with this, the flowing of the creative juices, none other than Dave Treadwell and Bob LaFavor.
I gotta get my prop. I needed some support.
Bobby over here. David?
Oh.
David?
Wow, that's gonna be hard to do.
Bobby? You know, it was a long time ago that we started this, and I think it was a wine that got the creative juices flowing. But we'll have Dave, I think, start out the event. It was many months ago when the Exchange Club said we ought to do something for the 60th anniversary. And here, we want you to be chairman. You know, why? I don't know, but yeah, I said, okay, as long as I had some help. We started out with a lot to begin with, and we still had quite a few, but there are two individuals that were dependents for a long time. And I think their wives, in Dave's case, glad to have him back. Well, I think. I would hope so. So,
Yeah, I do the
so to start out this ordeal up here, I'll pass the mic to Dave.
Thank you, Chairman Jean. It was exciting to be a part of this committee. At first, I had no idea how this was all going to go. But as we got into it, my job seemed to be, and can you take the elastic off of that? I had to cover the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. And then I took that on as a challenge. As far as pictures and yearbooks, we didn't have anything much. Okay, the 50s were in pretty good shape because Carl Burdick was a charter member and had been in our club a ton of years, so we had something going there. But we had to start off with the 40s. How did this club get going? And it was kind of interesting to me because in 1947, while I was 10 years old, my father was a charter member of the Danbury Exchange Club. I was the paper boy for Carl A.W. Rogers Sr., who lived 2 houses up from me on Whitlock Street, and he was the first president of the Exchange Club of Danbury. And when I found a program that nicely Bob LaFavor seemed to save, when the club started with 111 members charter night at Club Esquire, some discussion as to where that was, but we figured 300 people in attendance. I looked down the program and saw that the person that came from Manchester, Connecticut, from Connecticut District Board of Governors, they called it, was a Stuart G. Seeger, my uncle, married to my father's oldest sister. So I thought, wow, this is really kind of exciting. And so I said to myself, all right, we got to get started here, and I actually didn't know how to do it. I went to Levi Newsom, Danbury Museum, and said, we need to get the Danbury News Times. Oh, he said, they're storing them over in Bethel and Mariano's. And I don't know how you'll do that, but you should go to the Danbury Public Library. They have stuff on film. Well, down I went and asked them I wanted to get some papers from 1947. Well, fortunately they had them. I didn't know what day I was looking for other than April 24th, 1947. And I did find some. The pictures were not very well taken. As you'll see in the book, the photos are grainy and a little, of course, black and white at that time. But I did develop some things and certainly got the initial article where Carl Rogers was elected our first president. But you know, there were some interesting things that I don't think they made the book. The club was organized in April of '47, and when it got around to January 1948, when I was going through the papers trying to find out who the president was in 48, I ran across this article. Kind of interested me. Danbury Exchange Club will host a king to be a speaker. Wow, this is going to be interesting. King of Bora Bora. Wow, I said this. So I, nosy that I was, I thought I'll get this article. And the gentleman that was coming as the king of Bora Bora with his wife was a Henry Hedges. And he was going to speak to the club in January of 1948. It was kind of interesting. Just very quickly, Mr. Hedges was a civil engineer and lived on this island with the natives, left the photography of living with the natives to his wife, and he was coming to the Exchange Club to show the pictures and do the whole thing. And that was kind of exciting. He was there before World War II started, and he had made some films, and that's kind of what he had in mind. But on his second trip back to Bora Bora, it says, and I'm reading the article, a little grainy now, so I'm trying to get it straight, but on his second trip to Bora Bora, Mr. Hedges and his wife were on the high seas when the Pearl Harbor was attacked. And immediately when he arrived, he set up his household in the native community. Now the United States government, recognizing the strategic importance of this island for a base, soon had a CB battalion at work. Aha! The government in its wisdom saw that Mr. Hedges was a civil engineer and immediately commissioned him into the CBs. It said, and Mrs. Hedges was allowed to stay on the island with 1,100 natives, 5,000 soldiers, and 1,000 sailors. And kind of trying to read what this paper says, it says, Mrs. Hedges was kept very busy. Oh, I'm reading here. With her camera, and witnessed from the very beginning the gradual emancipation, something like that, and sophistication of the natives. But anyway, just a different thing. Another article that was kind of interesting as we got to 1948, and again, I can't find the president in 48. I know who it was, Arthur O. Thede. I knew the gentleman was Thede Electric. But in the papers here, another little article that was kind of interesting, and Taffy Jowdy was just here earlier, but the club had a project, obviously a hat project. It was called the Taffy Hats. And they planned, the Exchange Club, to go on a train down to New York City with all their hats on January 13th, 1948, to go down and show New York City, I guess, what all these hats were. And that was kind of interesting. And one that I don't think made the book. When we get to the 50s, of course, everybody that's been in the Exchange Club knows Little League was the whole event in the 50s. And in 1951, it became a reality on July 8th when the Little League had a big parade and marched down Main Street and the Little League teams played. But in September that year, another event was planned. And what happens in September and October in Danbury? The Great Danbury Fair. So they formed a committee that was going to have a train come from Pittsfield, Bass, drive down to Danbury, and the Exchange Club. And the picture that I have here shows Carmen Melillo running through the crowd in the rain, distributing hat souvenirs to these Pittsfield people. 434 of them came from Pittsfield. And they were going to welcome them in the center of Danbury and then take them on, it says, a siding to the Danbury Fair. Now, what's interesting, the American Legion Drum Corps was supposed to march them into the fair, but it was raining so bad that the American Legion said, we can't ruin our uniforms. We're not going to do it. But no problem. Guess who was aboard the train? The Polish Falcon Drum Corps was there to save the day. And onto the fair they went. Just some interesting highlights of what I found while I was trying to research this. I do want to say that the job I had, and it wound up to be, I was, can I say it, hell-bent for election on getting a picture of every president we ever had. Carl Rogers, I just told you I had in the News Times, 48-person RTD I couldn't find. 1949, I looked in the phone book. It was a John Neumiller. I looked in the phone book, ha-ha, there's a John D. Neumiller there. Called him up, gentleman right here, grandson of John Belden Neumiller was our third president. Johnny said, I'll get you some pictures. And very quickly, I was able to solve that. I had to get on to the 50s. Somebody tipped me off that Fay Malillo married a Jim Cawley. We might be able to get pictures of Carmen Malillo. This was going to be great because he was our president and really Mr. Little League, you know. So very quickly, I actually didn't start with Fay. I called Bob, Skippy Malillo, down in Florida. He says, hell, I haven't got any pictures. He said, call my sister, Fay. I called Fay. And today, I want to thank not only Fay, who got me the pictures, but we have the Carmen Malillo family here. We have son Bob with his wife Susan. We have daughter Donna with her husband Chet Asicki, and Fay with her hubby Jim. And thank you so much for getting me the pictures. And as I went on into the 50s, knowing I looked the presidents, and we got some heavy hitters in that 50s. We had Frank Snyder, we had Carmen Malillo, and we had Carl Burt. Oh boy, we got to really dig up some stuff here. And I found a Frank Snyder the second in the phone book. So he saved the day for me and got me some pictures for Little League, which was very helpful. And as I said, Carl had all kinds of albums. I had to briefly get into the 60s. And thank you to Dick Murray, who tipped me off that Irv Goldstein, who runs WLAD, Dad was president, we thought, in 1961. But you know what? We were wrong. He was president in 1960, according to the Danbury News Times. We had a couple of people reversed. But Dick Murray tipped me off. I went down and saw Irv. He got me a picture. And probably was close to the fastest one to get me a picture and back. I mean, it was pretty close between Neumiller and Goldstein. And then I went further along, and I got up to 1962, and Bob Nochi, I know where his office is. I went over there, and I said, Bob, I got to have your yearbook. Oh boy, he said, you know, he had no idea where it was, but he remembered, of course, the Exchange Club and all the things. Told me a few stories. Some of them didn't make the book, but, you know, whatever it was. But fortunately, his son-in-law works in that office and found the book, so I was able to get some pictures from, or some, actually, newsletters. Bob Nochi was very persistent in that every meeting, the newsletter went out, and fortunately, the News Times covered that meeting. So it'd be right next to it. You could see what they planned to do, and then what the News Times said they did. And then I beat on a little bit Dr. Roy Bonacci. I said, you know Veccarino. And he, oh yeah, I said, yeah, fine, yeah. So I went over on the first attempt, and he came back and he says, I got him. I got some, he couldn't find his own, couldn't find his book, but he got Veccarino. He found some pictures and stuff, but Veccarino was smart. He wasn't going to give up a real picture. He made copies. Well, you know, talk to the computer experts, these things aren't going to fly. You got to go back and get the real pictures. I go back to Roy, I said, well, you got to get, oh, he said, I don't know if the Veccarino will part with him. Well, the end result was, we only got articles on Veccarino's because he never did part with the pictures in time for Dr. Roy to get them to us before we had to cut the deadline off. But I got to go back and I'll be done. 1948. Remember, I don't have a picture of the president. My last one. Somehow, by luck, I found a bunch of others, and with the yearbooks that we had developed all but one, 1948, Arthur Otto Thiede. I had put a letter in the paper saying we needed help. Got a call from a Dave Coelho in Danbury who said, oh, I went to school with a kid named Greisinger, and he lives in North Carolina, but he was the uncle of Arthur Thiede. Oh, that's a good, all right, well, we'll start there. I said, give me his number. Called down to North Carolina. The guy said, well, yeah, Dave sent me the letter. I sent it on to my aunt. She's in Florida. Her name is Jean Thiede Raymond. Oh, give me her number. I call her up. Well, she says, I've been down here. I haven't really unpacked things. I'll try to find a picture of Dad. I said, I need it in 2 days. Pressure's on. I need it in 2 days. Can you overnight it me? She called me right back. She says, I got one. A picture when he retired. As you'll see in the photo in the book, it's when he retired in 1974, I believe. And she said, I gotta make a copy of it first. Everybody always makes a copy. They don't trust us, you know. That when we were putting this together, they didn't trust us. And she overnighted it, and voila! I walked in one day to the committee, and I said, "Woo-hoo! We have the final picture of all our presidents." And that was other than other things that we had to do from time to time. Jane mentioned the Merlot, that when the meetings went a little longer, I did understand one thing. I do Merlot at my house or Cabernet, but 4 o'clock in the afternoon. McNamara's house starts about noon or 1, you know. I don't know if he's trying to impress me or what, but Lefebvre was ready. And with that, I'll pass the mic on, because it was just really fun to be a part of the program.
You know, one thing Dave didn't allude to is as you look through the club presidents, every club president has a middle initial. He wouldn't just settle for a first and last name. He had to get that middle initial, and he did. He was very insistent on it. He was not only insistent on that, but if Bob would throw out a number of how many flags, he says, how do you know? Did you figure it out? He'd have to go back and figure it out to make sure the number was correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bob Lefebvre. I am the club historian. Don't I have a wonderful helper over here who does research? My comments will be brief. As I told a lady here a week ago, that my comments will be featured on the winter of '07, the winter of 2007. Last fall, the American citizenship. I've been on the American Citizenship Committee so long. Last fall, the Anniversary Committee met a few times to begin plans for the 60th anniversary. It was not until late December at a meeting at Gene McNamara's house that things began to move. It was decided to prepare an anniversary book along with an ad campaign. That was the beginning of the winter of '07. In January, we met almost daily at Gene McNamara's house, 10 a.m. We gathered yearbooks, extracted articles and photos, and planned. It was decided to create this momentous book by decades. On and on. We wrote descriptions. We made identifications. We applied strict chronological order. Everything must be exact. No one was to be left out. Meanwhile, while we were doing this, Chris Miller was working with invitations. John Rooney was preparing write-ups. Diane Pimentel was editing and describing. Joe Pepin and Al Mead came for identifications. Always there was talk about the old and the new. Always there was talk. And as you know, exchange-ites can talk. Yes, we are a collection of individuals, but we work together as a team. After 3 months, over 20 meetings, and well over 200 hours, it all came together. Gene McNamara was chairman and was always in order and efficient. Richard Murray was there, ensuring protocol and program operation. But it was also Ann McNamara. Who was there every day, and Kathy McNamara, their daughter, and Gene John Jr., who really devoted so many hours throughout the winter of '07. Without them, this anniversary book would not be possible. And the hospitality there, and those lunches, wow. We toasted each other with the completion of each decade with a glass of wine. I now toast the entire committee. Yes, the winter of '07 was fantastic. We in Exchange shall keep moving forward with our programs of service. God bless the Exchange Club. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bobby. When we first started this book, we started it, you know, as many books are put out, they look at them and it's nice, it's a bunch of pictures and so forth, and it's just tossed aside. Our thoughts were to create something that isn't going to be tossed aside, that you wouldn't be ashamed of putting it on your desk and letting someone look at it, peruse through it. And the only way to do it is to do it right and make it a hardcover. That we did. The idea, the final product was seen before it was completed. It had to be. But what went into it was a lot of effort, a lot of hard work by a lot of heartwarming exchange-ites. These guys spoke briefly on how it was put together. After they would leave, every item was scanned, that's in the book, was scanned into a computer. Every item, after it was scanned into the computer, was printed in black and white so we could lay it out. After it was laid out, then it would go back to my son and say, okay, put it together on a piece of paper. Well, he said, what you got on here is about 1.5 to 2.5 pages. And we were only going to allocate 10 pages per decade. Well, 10 pages is only 5 sheets of paper. You got both sides. So, and the fellas said, let's do what we have to do. Wherever it comes out, it comes out. But let's start from and work through the decades as much as we can. What you see on every page was laid out, and I have to say this by my son. Everything in there had to be a decision. How many pictures to put on a page, where to place them. My daughter, Kath Johnson, she did all the typing. My wife did the editing along with Joan Treadwell, Diane Pimentel, and others. And to get to the printer, well, what do you want? How do we get it to the printer? Well, have your computer guy do it in Quark. I didn't know what Quark was, and my son didn't, but he learned it. Okay, we did it in Quark. And then you give it to the printer to run it off. It comes back, and it's garbage. Well, you look at it, and well, you did it in Quark, but you did it in RGB. And it's supposed to be CMYK. So he did it in CMYK. And it still wasn't right. And the printer was going to be doing it out of Hartford. They were running 24 hours a day. It was a nightmare. And to do it locally, they couldn't do it on coated paper. They could use laser paper, but not coated paper. We wanted coated paper. And then it still didn't come out right. So you know who printed it? My son printed it. He printed it. And the only thing that we farmed out was the binding. And the binder said he needed a month to do it. He said, it's okay, I'll have it to you on the first Monday of the month. I called him up, I'm coming up, couldn't reach him. But I figured he's probably in the back room. So I drove up there. And I drove up there, the building's dark. Nobody's in any part of the building. There was some workers in the back. I went back there, oh, they had a fire. They're not going to be operative for maybe 2 or 3 days, or if then. So frantically, I came home, tried to call them en route, and when I got back home, and then tried to get on the internet to what other companies, and there's no other companies in Connecticut, believe me, to try to get a good binding job. So I was up in Massachusetts, ready to deliver it up there. And this guy calls up. Yeah, I can do it. I'll have it done for you. I think we picked it up, what? Thursday. Last Thursday. So everything came together very nicely. And, well, it is. It's a lot of hard work by a lot of people. And it covers 60 years of history, and we hope you take it and read it and enjoy it, because it does, you know, as everybody goes on, and someday we'll be gone, who's going to know what happened in the past? And that was foremost in our mind, to keep what happened in the past foremost someplace. And eventually we have it in this document, which will be in the library, in the museum, hopefully at City Hall, and we hope you'll enjoy it and pass it on. So we thank everyone who has been a part of this, and all of your scrapbooks and everybody. Thank you.
And while Gene has thanked his committee, Bobby and I and the rest of the committee people want to thank Dr. Gene McNamara for heading up this project. Without his go, we wouldn't have made it. And at this point in time, too, as Bob alluded to, an editor-in-chief. Well, Gene thought he was in charge. There was really another person in the house that was just invaluable. And we would like to call Ann McNamara forward now, because we have some beautiful plants, just a little small token of all the things that you did. And here comes one person delivering the plants to you, my dear. We can't thank you enough, certainly. Because
Thank you. Stay there, John. Stay there. That's good.
I can hold my own plant.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann.
I'm fine.
I'm not finished yet. No, there's still other people to thank. But at this time, you know, you heard of many years ago, who was that with Johnny Carson? What was his? Ed McMahon used to say, and here's Johnny. Well, we have at the Danbury Exchange Club, here's Dickie Murray.
Thanks, Gene. Well, we're going to try this. I don't know how it's going to work because we have this snake that's going to follow me around here. Dave, you're going to help me, right, buddy? I'm going to try. Yep. This is what we're going to do. On your program, it says Open Mic Memories. And what we're going to ask for you to do, because we want to have club participation in this celebration of ours for over 60 years of Exchange Club here in the city of Danbury. So put your thinking caps on. I have asked a few people to be prepared a little bit to kind of get the thing going. And because we have 60 years, we're going to give anyone that would like to say something, a fond memory that they have of the Danbury Exchange Club, 60 seconds. I'll hold the mic, and when the clock, my timer here, Mr. Treadwell, says time's up, the mic goes away. So, we're trying to get everybody to participate that would like to have something nice to say about or maybe not so nice. I know there's a couple guys over here that say that. But if you would, and we'll start out with this side of the room, we'll work our way around if we can do with this cord thing here. We're going to try. Yeah. So we'll start on this side. I'm going to go see my friend Mr. Kiernan first because I know he was very nice today. But I think he might have some fond memories of the exchange. You don't get the mic. I hold the mic. So.
Oh, you hold it?
Yeah.
You sure?
You got it.
Well, I just want to, fond story that when you're the district president, 2 years after you're district president, you have to run the district convention. Well, Flo over here and her husband Jack and a bunch of other guys from the Danbury Club says, well, you know, we would like to go upstate New York, up to the Granite, where we used to go all the time. And I said that, I think that's a great idea. Will you support me in the district if we do that? And not only did they support me, but I believe we had 15 couples that year up at the Hudson Valley Resort. And I thank the Danbury Club for supporting the district for that. And we had a great time. And we always have a great fun. You know, and I know more people are going to be talking about these cockadoos and the Pagawi tribe and everything else. And you guys are a lot of fun, and thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Cliff. We're going to move on over here to table number 2, and we're going to go to Mr. Bill Wagonette. Bill?
Thank you, Rich.
You don't get the mic.
I'd like to thank the Danbury Club for an excellent program. I'm not here to basically say that. If you look to the right, you'll see a cockadoo. It's number 9. This is the one that I purchased 11 years ago from the Danbury Robbery Club for 30 bucks. When we were going home, it was crying in the back, and I made a promise to that cockadoo. 1, they'll always be warm. 2, they'll always be fed. And 3, he'll always have a partner. Well, we've taken care of 2 of those. The first thing is, if you'll notice, he's got black hair. I assume it's a he, or a she, or an it. But in essence, I cleaned him up, and when I told him he was coming to Danbury, he got all excited. And he says, I'm coming home? He said, yes, you're coming home. So in essence, we cleaned him up, we kept him warm. As far as food is concerned, I spent dollars upon dollars for the last 11 years going to Washington to get special food for the animal. And they were very appreciative. But the third thing I could not really achieve until today, and I mean that sincerely, and that he was always lonely until I turned around and looked at Miss Pinky. So if you would please say the covenant of service and leave here so that they can be together. and I want to say thank you, and we had an excellent time, Richard.
Thank you, Bill. We're going to go on to Wild Bill Dacey over here from the Norwalk Club. He left his, what was that hat that you had that we had those?
The beanie hats.
The beanie hats. Hold on, here we go, Bill, it's your turn.
Well, when I joined Exchange, the Danbury Club was way ahead of us, and when we had our one of the first training sessions, there was a Parks and Rec man, there was a banker, and there was an educator that I was introduced to. And they told me they were going to run the Indianapolis 600. I said, no, you mean the 500. They said, no, the Indianapolis 600. I said, well, how's that run? You'll find out. That was one of the most fabulous events that Danbury ever did. The other event, the Cockatoo, which you've heard my brother Cliff and Bill talk about, was fantastic. And time went on, and we got out to Fernwood, Pennsylvania, and it rained like crazy. And I was in charge of the committee for keeping everything going. And of course, I looked to the banker and the Parks and Rec man and the educator and said, what's going on this year, fellas? What are you going to do? And they said, oh, there's an Indian tribe coming tonight. I said, what? The Indians are in Foxwoods. They said, no, it's going to be right here in Fernwood. Well, sure enough, come about 8 o'clock, the Fakawi tribe shows up. Those of you that are members of the Fakawi, thank you so much, and God bless you all.
All right, Bill, thank you. How we doing, Dave? Okay, Bob Bailey.
Well, I can't give the memories that these two gentlemen have, but I do have some very fond memories of Danbury. First of all, following Dick Murray around when we were looking for a convention site, and then also coming down here for the steak dinner. The steak was really great. And I really appreciate what Danbury has done for the district. And I know that Dick is going to continue on, and so was the banker over here. You know, you can't get rid of him. But I do want to just comment one thing. I didn't realize this, but I lost a very good friend in Mr. Jack Lanigan. And he meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Let's move around the corner here, Ed. We're going to go see Mr. Joe Pepin next. Get ready. Hey, Joe, you only got 60 seconds, baby. Yeah, they told me you don't get the mic. I hold the mic.
Oh, no, you're not. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the king, baby. But you know, you can't reflect upon an incident with Exchange in 60 years. You can't do it. So I've got a capsule of people that were very, very powerful in my life. So I want to get more on the positive side in terms of, you know, when I first came in, it was Carl Burdick. He's the most gentle human being that the God ever put on this earth. And I got to tell you, he meant a lot to me. There were guys that helped me out, because I was a little wise-ass kid, and you know what I mean? I was, you know, I never drank. But, you know, I was trying to save my soul. And, you know what I mean? And I came along, guys like Malillo, Novella, Dennis, and Jim Cabordi. Great people that straightened my butt out. Took me in when I should have been in, you know what I mean? Put the lights out. In sports, which meant a lot to me, when we went out and we played different games, when we went all over, and we had a heck of a time. Jimmy Purcell with, you know, bowling, meant a lot to me. Connor's here, my man. And the guy we haven't talked about yet is Fast Eddie Zarinskas. Now, Eddie's not doing well, but God bless Eddie Zarinskas. He taught me patience, he taught me how to be a good sport, and he taught me how to be honest. I didn't listen to him, but you know, he taught me. Now, on the other side of the coin, I've got the funny part. We had Roger Gavigan, we had Bobby Garville, and we had the All-American in Exchange, if you were here, was Frank Stone. He was the man. And some of the letters that I have home from his wife after Frank died are treasures that no one's ever going to see. And everything that he did was beautiful. But there's two other things that are very important to me. And it's the essence of this club. One is the prevention of child abuse. And you know that we had a raffle this year, and we did the best ever, and I thought this was going to be the poorest. And I got to thank everyone in this room, whether you're a member, whether you're the wife of a member, or whatever your lot in life may be. You did one heck of a nice job. We got over $8,000. We contributed almost $4,000 so far this year for the prevention of child abuse, and we have a lot more. And the other thing is, I got to say one thing. People don't know who does the things behind the scenes. You see the upfront people, but you don't know who's behind the scenes. We were going to give a kid a flag to raise, which I think is fabulous. One guy in the room picks up the tab, doesn't say a word, doesn't want to be noted, and I think, you know, he's the quiet guy in this group, and he says it's got to be done, and it's done. In other words, he's not the mouth. He is the essence of putting up. I want to say, Al Correa, you did one hell of a job. You're going to get 7,000 flags out that he, on his own, did. Oh, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm usually a joke. I must be out of time. But I will sit down, but I will say this. 10 minutes ago? Then I will say something to you. The friendship and the fantastic guy, the best guy I've ever worked with in my life, that if you call him up at 9 o'clock, before noon, you'll get an answer back to what you have, and that's my friend here, Dick Murray. And God bless Dick Murray, had a good year. So
Thank
Dick,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Colonel, you ready? Come on. Let's hear from you.
Well, I just want to say a few words. I don't need the mic. I want to say a few words about Eddie Zarinkas, who was a backbone of this club, a tremendous guy. He's now in the VA hospital, and I left him about a few days ago. He's in extensive care in the VA hospital in West Palm Beach. And Eddie wants to send his best. He wanted to come up here with me, but he couldn't make it. And he sends his best to all the club. He says, because you know what the Danbury Club meant to me. And I said, you're damn right I know. And this is to Eddie Zarinkas.
Thanks, Woody. Well, let's see if we can get to Russ Novella. We got to get to Russ Novella over there somehow. We're going to go through here. Let's go through here, Dave. Now, you know, Russ, you got to keep this clean now. Russell, we got room, Dave? You got to keep it clean? You don't get the mic. I hold the mic.
I won't swear. All right, you talk about Eddie Zarinkas. I got to tell you a story about his wife. Dave Treadwell ran a horse race at one of our conventions, okay? And all the girls took him home, and they decorated. It's been hours and decorating. They want to win first prize. We had one horse left. Irene Zarinkas came in, looked at it, took the horse, went back to her room, decorated it, came back. She won first prize. The girls didn't talk to her for a month. But another happy thing in my life is I was very happy is when they opened the doors to that woman in the Exchange Club and made my day. Thank you very much.
Mary Ann, did you hear that, Mary Ann? All right, where are we going next? Where are we going, Dave?
You go.
Let's see, what do we got here? He'll follow me. Uh-oh.
He only carries the wire.
Yeah, that's it. What do we got? We got anybody over on this side like to add something? Anybody on this side like to add something?
Hey,
what do you got, Lee?
Dick. He alluded to the woman in exchange. Well, a few years back, of course, the woman invaded our province. But we allowed it to a degree. But there were people who were against it. And I'm not saying I was, but I know Don Malillo was. Now, we went to a convention, and we arranged for Don Malillo to be assassinated before a firing squad because he was against women's lib. So I had, I think Jeanette and Lucy and Millie, my wife Alice and a few others had water pistols, and we were going to have a mock assassination. Unbeknownst to Dick, I loaded all the damn pistols up with water, and he's standing there like this. And I said, ready, aim, fire, and they gave it to him. And that was the climax.
Yes, that certainly was. Okay. Anything? Al, you ready, Al Mead?
Sure.
Huh?
No, Mike. Thank the committee and Gene McNamara for the great job they did for today's anniversary party. Thanks to Joe Pepin for inviting me to join Exchange, and the past several years that I've been a member has been an enjoyable time for me. And thanks to my wife for all the help that she's given Exchange and the place settings for the and name tags and all that stuff. She prepared all that with her computer expertise. She also, along with the late Larry Menger, were our chefs for a couple of the stew-offs down at the ice arena, which we won 2 out of 3 years in a row and won a $1,000 prize, which got contributed back to the Exchange Club for our service programs. The year we didn't win was when we had the Hawaiian seafood stew, and we were the best. The pictures on the TV up there will show you that. We're there with Hawaiian hats and singing let me let you take you on a sea cruise, and and we were good. Al,
Hey, I don't care who says so, right?
Al and Donna, we were good. Let me take you on a sea cruise.
Okay, Al, thank you.
You got enthusiastic.
Hey, Dave, we got to do a little turnaround here.
Okay,
Okay,
where you going?
we're going on the other side of the room. Are you ready, John? We're going to the other side.
Just take a couple more.
Yep, got it. Okay. Let's see what we got on this side. Where's Joey Frisha? Come on, Joe. Joe, come on up here, because this wire is, we're running out of room
Give
here.
him the mic.
No, I'm not giving him the mic.
All my life I've been involved with exchange-ites, whether it be in 5th grade being taught by Joe Da Silva, 6th grade being taught by John Hammer, 8th grade being taught by Joe Pepin, or 10th grade being taught how to pour a 7-ounce beer by Dick Murray.
You were a good student, too.
The one thing you could always bring home from exchange-ites is the friendship. And all my life, my father had great friends in the Exchange Club, and that's continued on with me. They're all my friends, and someday I'll bring my son Jimmy here to meet all his new friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Mary Ann, quickly. We're going to do 1 or 2 more, and then we're going to wrap
You
up.
can go right to her. You can
Yep, okay. We got enough room, he says.
All right, hi. I
don't know where that goes there.
I jokingly call all the boys in exchange my boys. And I've done it ever since one of the older members couldn't get out of the habit of calling me the girl member. But I never was offended by being called a girl, because at my age, it's a great compliment. And whenever I'd come to an exchange meeting and I'd get a phone call on Thursday night, my husband always took great pride in saying, Mary Ann's out with the boys tonight. But call all of you whatever you want. Volunteers, exchange-ites, community activists, whatever. You're still the most dedicated, hardworking bunch of people, and Danbury is very lucky that you're here, and it's been a great journey, and I'm very proud to have been a part of it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. All right, we got Richie Kovacs and Bob.
Wonderful moments of exchange, and one is the best moment that I feel that it happened here in 1980. And I don't know if you would know this or not, but the National Exchange Club Program for Child Abuse was announced here at the Exchange Club of Danbury in 1980 at the Ethan Allen Inn. And that's 26 years ago, and that program has just been tremendous. Dr. Ed North, our national president, was here. It was an installation for myself and Gene McNamara that night, and at the end, there was a hurricane. The last thing that we would tell you that Bob Morris, my close friend here, we were asked as members of the Exchange Club to do a television program. It was called Two for the Money. We were on cable TV. It was a quiz show. Bob and I were on the panel as members of the Danbury Exchange Club. We didn't tell you, though, but by the time that we got there, we had hit a few bars before we got there, and we were in tremendous embarrassment to the Exchange Club of Danbury.
All right, Rich, thank you. Bob?
I'm not going to try to top Richie. That was quite a night. If you ever have a chance to see that tape, take it. Back in '76, I was president during the bicentennial, and I was very proud to be able to lead the Exchange Club in the bicentennial parade. But one other thing happened during the year of my presidency that I don't think has happened anywhere else. 2 things, actually, and this goes along with crime prevention and fire prevention. We had a fire prevention night that night. We had the fire chief in.
and we were meeting at the Ho Yen restaurant. And in the middle of the meeting, as the fire chief has just gotten up to talk, a fireman came in full regalia, and said, "Chief, we need you." And he says, but. He says, "No, we need you now." There was a fire across the street, and a building in downtown Danbury, Feinson's and so forth, burned down or caught fire and pretty well was destroyed. The next was, we had crime prevention the same year. And we honored the policemen. The chief was there honoring the policemen. The next day, we met on Thursday nights at that time. I don't know when you meet now. All right, you still meet on Thursday. The next day, gentlemen decided that this was the time to rob the Union Savings Bank in downtown Danbury and blow up the police department.
Dave, you remember that?
Two memorable events during my time that I was president that I'd like to share with you.
Thank you, Bob. Dick, do you have something over there? We got a room here? That's fine. Yeah, I'll hold it for you. Go ahead.
I want to tell you, my greatest remembrance of being in an exchange club was with the honor of working with Basil Freesia on the tag sales and on a Las Vegas night. And he was a true gentleman. He always had a laugh on his face, and he always had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Anybody else? We're going to wrap up here because it's getting late. Anybody else? Okay, Gene, we're all set, I believe. It's back to you. Thank you, by the way. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. There you go, Rick.
Thank you, Dick. We'd like to thank many people. We'd like to thank our sponsors that are in the sponsorship book for helping us to continue the programs of service for the coming year. Please note in the sponsorship book, in the centerfold, that we have formed the Exchange Club Foundation, which is a 50c3 foundation, which if you're worried about your tax and tax exempt, it's perfectly tax exempt for individuals and corporations. I'd like to thank all the Exchange-ites for soliciting the sponsors for our programs of service for the coming year, the 60th year. Please remember them. And a thanks to the committee. The committee, Dave Treadwell, Bob LaFavor, Dick Murray, John Rooney, Chris Miller, Diane Pimentel, Joe Pepin, Al Mead, and the decorating committee, Joan Mead, Joan Treadwell, Donna Correa, Kath Johnson, Pat Mado. The music committee, Stan Strutsky, video display, Jim Ogden, and the videotaping, John Newmuller. And there are some others. My son mainly, Gene, my son Gene, for helping in a great deal in putting this book together. And I'd like to thank my wife Ann. She put up with a lot. One comment she made today, it's like the day after Christmas, because all the gifts are gone. All the books are gone. Please take your scrapbooks home, everyone. Take your memorabilia home so I don't have to take it. Please take them all back. And at least Ann now has her tables back, and we can eat off it. I'm telling you, all the dining room table, the kitchen table, and we had another 8-foot table we put up and a 6-foot table. All of them were occupied for months in carrying this project forward. We'd like to thank all of you for sharing this first official day of our 60th year. May this be the beginning of great things to come, not only for the Exchange Club of Danbury, but for our programs of service. And at this time, I'd like to call upon a dear fellow Exchangeite, a past district president, and like every other convention that I remember that we've been to, this individual ended with God Bless America, Bill Lawler.
Please rise. While the storm's clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
And at this time, I'd like to call on Deacon Bill Murphy for the benediction.
My friends, we're told in Scripture, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We are here indeed to rejoice and be glad. And before we go our separate ways, remember those who have gone before us in the Exchange Club. We ask those who are with us now in leadership and in membership to be with us. We also pray for those who will follow us in service. We ask that the Lord bless us, that we grant us his blessings as we continue in fellowship and commitment to each other as Exchangites. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, and we hope to see you at the 75th. I don't know who's going to do it. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, one more. Oh, I forgot. Sorry about that. We have 6 past presidents. I think it's 6 that will expound the covenant of service.
Accepting divine privilege of single and collective responsibility as life's noblest gifts, and covenant with my fellow exchangites.
No, there's 6 people.
To consecrate my best energies to the uplifting of social, religious, political, and business ideals.
To discharge the debt I owe to those of high and low estate who have served and sacrificed, that the privilege of American citizenship might be mine.
To honor, respect laws governed by fellow man, and to uphold the ideals and institutions of my country.
To implant the life-giving, society-building spirit of service and comradeship in my social and business relationships.
To serve in unity with those seeking better conditions, better understanding, and greater opportunities for all.
Fellow Exchangites, lovely ladies and guests, thank you.